This video shows how to make a saddle leather scabbard for Little Bird's Beak peeling knife. Welcome to my studio. A small leather scabbard for a kitchen knife is a great way to use up small pieces of scrap leather. I buy sides of leather and have lots of little pieces of 3 to 4 ounce Wickett and Craig vegetable tanned leather lying around. A small earth magnet sewn to the outside of the scabbard acts as a latch holding the knife in place. High quality vegetable tanned leather is expensive, so you do not want it to go to waste. An accurate template will limit the risk of cutting out the wrong shape. Draw the shape of the knife at 1:1 scale accurately in a drawing program and print out a template. Acrylic is less expensive than leather and can be used to make marking, cutting, and glue up jigs to make this project easier to do. If you have a glow forge like the one I use, you can cut the leather out using the laser, but I prefer to cut the leather with a sharp knife because I like smooth edges. The laser leaves a rough burnt edge that takes a lot longer to make look nice. The acrylic will most likely have a plastic coating on the outside that can be removed. I like to see the leather I am cutting out, so I use Clear Acrylic to help avoid using blemished leather in my cutouts. Fasten the leather and template to a cutting surface on the end of a table using spring clamps. You do not want the template to move, but you do not want to use the template to make an impression into the leather either. Use a sharp knife to cut around the template or a hobby knife with a sharp disposable blade. Vegetable tan leather is very unforgiving, so make sure the template does not have sharp edges that will mark and scratch the surface. The same pattern shape is used for the back and the front, so make sure you flip the template and use the reverse shape so the pieces match up when you are finished cutting them out. A gusset means side in leathercraft, so a flat piece of leather with the center cut out for the knife to fit into is a gusset that is used to help avoid cutting out the stitches as you move the blade in and out of the scabbard. Make the gusset the exact same size as the top and bottom, and trim the end of the gusset to fit after the top and bottom are fitted. An arch punch is the easiest way to cut out a 1-inch circle, but you can also carefully cut around a 1-inch acrylic circle template too. The 1-inch leather circle is stitched around a 1/2-inch earth magnet to create a natural latch. Earth magnets are not very expensive and are easy to find online. A 1/2-inch size probably has enough holding power, but check to make sure by sandwiching a piece of leather between the knife and a magnet. Dividers are used to measure and mark an accurate line for the stitch line to follow. Use a ruler to adjust the distance between the two ends to 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch. And make sure the divider's adjustment screw is tight so the distance does not change. You want to use the dividers to mark the surface of the leather but not cut through it, so make sure the edges on your dividers are not sharp, and drag one point of the dividers along the side. If your leather is not thick enough for the point of the divider to follow, drag the point along the cutting surface underneath it. A good set of stitching chisels are a great asset for a leather crafter to have. They are used to punch small diamond-shaped holes for the needle and thread to pass through. Each point of the chisel is spaced precisely along a straight line, so the 2-point chisel is the only chisel that will work around a curved surface. The points on these crimson hide chisels are 5 millimeters, or spaced at 5 stitches per inch. A small piece of scrap leather makes an easy punch pad that will help protect the tips of your chisels if you are using a hard punching surface. You do not want to make the hole too big at this point, so gently tap the top of the chisel with a mallet to make the stitching hole. Make sure that you keep the chisel at the same perpendicular 90-degree angle, or the needle might be difficult to pull through later on when you are sewing more than one piece of leather together. The last hole is used to anchor the chisel with one prong, and the other prong creates a second hole spaced at the same distance. Only stitch mark the one side and mark where the end of the gusset needs to be so it can be trimmed and securely glued and stitched into place. There are different ways to decorate leather and lots of different types and colors of leather dye to use. Echo Flow is a product line made by Phoebeans and sold by Tandy Leather Supply. The color here is range tan, which is a brown saddle leather color, and is a water solvent dye that is a little easier on the environment but stains easily, of course, so rubber gloves and a disposable cardboard work surface are a good idea. A small sponge on the end of a stick used to clean electronics equipment works great, but a small brush or cloth will work too. Apply an even layer and allow the dye to soak in. An edge beveler takes the top outer edge off the leather, leaving a rounded surface. Edge bevelers come in lots of different sizes. This is for thin leather. To use it, make sure it is sharp and gently guide the tool along the edge. Apply second coat of dye if needed and include the edges. Let the dye absorb into the leather evenly and leave it to dry. Stitching several layers of leather together can become bulky and difficult to stitch properly, so shaving a thin layer off of the edges makes it easier. This process is called skiving. Use a skiving knife to remove a 10mm strip of leather without disturbing the natural edge. The smooth top on leather is where all the leather strength comes from, so removing a layer off the back will not affect the strength of the leather, but it will improve the scabbard's look and function with a sunken seam when stitched. Gum tragacanth is a plant-based gum that is used to help slick the edge surface during burnishing and is easy to apply with a small sponge. Even though this is a very small project, the details are still important. A slicker is a tool used to burnish the edge of leather, and they come with different sized grooves. The surface of the leather edge needs to be smooth, so the edge finishing paint will be easy to apply and dry smooth too. Burnishing and painting the edges is an important step to ensure the layers of fibers in the leather will not fray as easily. Edge paint is a liquid-based coating designed to soak into the raw leather and create a flexible coating to make the leather edges a little more durable. A leather edge paint roller is an applicator and finishing tool designed to make the process a little easier. The edge paint is permanent, so apply carefully not to get any on the surface of the leather. Edge paint is only used on the edges of leather and will flake off if not applied properly. I like to use the most eco-friendly products I can find, and Phoebeans, the company that makes this leathercraft cement that I am using, claims their product is less harmful, but I still apply the glue in a well-ventilated room and wear a mask just in case my standards are higher than theirs. Carefully apply the glue evenly with a small applicator. You do not want the glue to spill out underneath, creating a messy seam or unsightly glue stains, so leave a little room for the glue to spread out, and remove excess glue with a paper towel if necessary. Clamping the leather in place while the glue sets creates a stronger bond. The saddle stitch is my favorite stitch because it is very useful. John James is a company that has been making stitching needles since 1840. Bonded nylon thread is strong and easy to saddle stitch leather with because the fibers are tight and more resistant to a needle snagging it. Versitile thread is a popular brand and they offer quite a few different colors in the 0.6mm size. Threading a needle can be difficult, but with a clean flat end and a little patience it gets easy after you do it a few times. After the needle is threaded, pass the needle through the end of the thread twice so the needle does not come off. Needles can easily go missing, so a pin cushion is a good idea. A stitching pony holds the leather in place as you stitch, so it's an extra set of hands. In case anybody is wondering, I am using a Blanchard diamond shape awl, and I rounded the end to a razor sharp spear tip instead of a needle shape. Going one stitch backwards and then going back through the same hole you started from is called a back stitch, and it doubles the stitch, locking it in place while you finish stitching the row. A saddle stitch is created when the two ends of one thread are passed through the same hole from opposite directions to create a row of interlocking stitches on both sides. You can pull the stitches towards you or away from you. The result is pretty much the same as long as you are consistent. As you punch the hole through the leather, have your needle ready to easily pass the thread through the hole as the awl is removed. Finish the row of stitching with a back stitch and tie the ends off. The remaining thread is to be cut off with the scissors or burnt off with a lighter or a thread zapper. Leathercraft is easier if you assemble and sew each layer separately. Tan Coat is a leather finishing resin made by Phoebeans, and this will help protect the scabbard from moisture on the inside. Leave the areas that will be glued dry for better adhesion. After the tan coat has a chance to dry, you can slick the back with a glass burnisher to tighten the leather fibers. The acrylic pattern pieces work perfectly as a glue-up jig. Shop-made jigs are very useful and make the project easy to reproduce. Small plastic spring clamps add plenty of pressure, and the acrylic helps to protect the surface of the leather from getting marked up by the clamps as the glue sets. A back stitch locks the thread in place, and a triple back stitch adds a lot more strength, especially when the stitches are at an opening or when the stitches are holding together areas of higher wear. A triple back stitch is completed the same way as a single back stitch, just in triplicate, so you will finish and tie off the thread on the fourth hole back. A leather edge clamp is used to crimp the stitching line to set the stitches. Burnish and edge paint the edges and let dry. Natural leather can become dry and brittle, so it needs to be protected with a little wax and oil. The oil soaks into the leather, making it soft and supple, and after the excess is removed, a thin layer of wax remains on the surface to help protect it.